Hello, and welcome back to Hardspace Shipbreaker. So we're moving on to a new ship. We just had this one. I think we did one like this, but I only had a single. Oh, this is the new, right, this is 2 segments, and this is 3 segments. So getting bigger. Yeah, 19 mil, like 90,000 kilos, so 90 ton. This one's 126 ton. These are, quite light compared to like modern ships that go on the ocean, like a relatively low mass, because those things are usually like tankers are like, I don't know, I want to say tens of thousands of tons or hundreds of thousands of tons, because I guess that's tens of thousands of tons already. I don't know what I'm talking about. So let's jump at this one. Similar to the ship we did last time, but there may be some variations. Well, for starters, it's in 3 segments for a start. And also, we may have some atmospheric differences. Whoa. Okay. Okay. Whoa. Why is my mouse was like under-sensitive the last time I played this demo charge manual. I don't really want to use a demo charge. So the demo charge is there. Now you can throw these things, and that's like asking for trouble. So really you want to like wait until you have that. That's going to tell you where the cutting line is. Boop, 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 boop. And I mean, you know, they're fine. But like you still have to cut these lines, right? So you're not exactly speeding things up a hell of a lot. Well, let's keep it this angle. This is the right angle because we just rotate it. And we actually do want to kind of separate these out. Like I might, to be honest, I might as well just cut those with the beamer. Like the demolition isn't necessary, isn't really speedy on this at all. But I mean, they're fun to use. So we go, and then we press the button again, and the switches, and then we go click. And they're loose. And you see they also get just a teeny tiny little push. That was not the button I wanted to press. That was the button I wanted to press. So this is going to have to be dragged forward a bunch in order to get clear of the ship. It's getting dragged down a little so it might bounce, but I think I cleared it. Yes, I did. Did I clear the front as well? I think I did. I did. Awesome. I'm just gonna let that do its thing. What are these? Coolant tanks. Interesting. I thought this was a fuel carrier. So I'm going to be kind of fast and loose here. Because you watch where the dots are, right? So here, that's good. Here, that's bad. So that's going to hit the coolant, right? You see the dot there to the right of... So dot, no dot. Dot, no dot. So that's not going to hit the coolant. Right? So you got to be careful with those. But the game is relatively clear about what you're targeting. It's not perfect by any means. Why is my mouse so... Like, the problem I was having yesterday was that the last time. It certainly wasn't yesterday. But my mouse felt very insensitive, and today it feels super sensitive. And I have not changed any settings on my mouse whatsoever. so that's this whole... Oh, I need to do that one. So we're going to lift you up, we're going to lift you up. And we're going to pull you over. And we're going to send you down. Missing. Oh, these were blank as well. Well, that's a pity. Do you guys want to go into the barge? I think you do. Yeah, you do. Whoops. I'm just gonna tap F because these are very low mass, like they're 100 kilos. Jesus Christ! Can I? Why do I have this manual open? How do I close this manual? If I press R. In the meantime, okay, that's all, what, 12 of those, we'll say. And we're just going to repeat the next section. I'm going to slide in, nice and careful. I'd rather be in the middle. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. And we're going to ignore messenger beeping at me. Doop, doop, doop. Because I didn't think to mute it. Whoops. Pop. Well, that was close. For the love of all that's holy. There's been no updates to the game that I've been aware of, so I don't know what the deal is. If this is like Windows being ridiculous, or what. I don't think my mouse driver's updated. Alright, I will try to stop whinging about that. But if I die because of it, I will definitely whinge about it some more. Also, I'm not noticing this problem in any other game. Then again, I don't know if I'm playing any other games where this kind of microcontrol really matters as much. Low on oxygen. Let's go get oxygen. While I'm over there, I will clamp this thing. Clamp? Clamp is a one word. Grapple. This thing down there. once that goes in, that should trigger the first tier of completion. Unless, you know, breaks halfway just one. Alright. So this thing is... it's already pretty vented. That's good. And you can see the limit of the range of my scanner there. So you can extend that. But again, that's all vented as well, so that's good. So I think I'm not going to bother with the demo charges. I'm just going to cut through this real fast. It's just faster. I don't think the demo charges are particularly useful. I think they're fun. And I have a vague recollection of there being like a cut strength later on where you need it. It was definitely in the early access. I'm not sure if it's in the full game. It's around here. Whoa, too far. And now we're gonna. So these grade 2s can cut, as you can see, with the cutter. Grade 3s can't. Like your cutter only goes up to grade 2. So like if I were trying something with a grade 3 requirement, yeah, that's grade 2 as well. Then, you know, you would absolutely need it. I have a vague recollection of some struts maybe requiring grade 3. Whoops. There we go. And you're definitely, yeah, you're vented. So I can actually just pull this off safely. And this is like kind of a sneaky way in. Oops. Sneaky. Why sneaky, Brian? It's a, oh, maybe it's not a way in. Was I not able to fit in there in the past? I definitely was not. And you can't pull it out until you've like flipped the fuel switch. So that was actually a waste of my time. I was clearly misremembering some ship in the past where that was an option. Like, as in misremembering, and it was never the case, and I'm just wrong. Where's the airlock? Oh, there's the airlock. Right, so the airlock, this is a handy way to find airlocks, right? If you can't find your way into the ship, switch to the structure view and it'll show you where the airlock is. We only got 2 minutes left. Oh, that door's all the way open. Alright, well, I guess just grab a unit, eh? Get some free money. Free money. Early money. Let's see. Let's get the fuel, the engine out of here. Yeah, we good? We good. Out it goes. If you need to get the thruster out fast, that's the way to do it. There's no reason to get it out fast, but that's how you could do it if you wanted. don't know if using the cutter like this is faster, but it certainly feels faster. I suspect if you timed it, it's probably very similar. Wrong button. It's probably very similar in speed to doing it, holding it down to burn off the spots individually. I wonder if I can. No, not in 14 seconds. But I can aim it over there. At least before the shift ends. Get it moving. Cool. 7 mil. The MP don't matter. The MP are just like your rank XP. They're kind of like spent automatically. You know, you get enough to get a level, you automatically get that level or that rank. The LT are much more valuable. I'm not going to spend LT until pretty much until I'm done with the ship, because otherwise it'll just be in tiny increments, tiny pieces. That's not very worthwhile. Oh, 600,000. Oh, right, because we've had it on the demo charge rental. We were at 500,000 before, and now we're paying like an extra 100 grand every day. I think that's an interesting way to increment up your rent, so to speak. And I think I would have liked to have seen more of those in the game to really kind of emphasize the way corporations, if given the opportunity, will, like, they're nickel and diming you anyway, like charging you for every little thing, but also how if they control the system, it's a trap that you can never escape. That even when it looks like you're starting to escape, they tack on extra fees, sudden new charge. Like, there's been a change in policy, so we're gonna start charging you for this thing, or that thing, or the other thing. That's a, you know, again, a historical thing that happens because they can. Because they can, they do. Well, you gotta remember the goal is to have all the money. So why let someone that you're giving money to hold on to that money for any length of time if you can just make up a way to get it back? And, you know, bear in mind, it doesn't matter if they're unhappy, because what are they gonna do? They can't leave because they're giving you all their money, right? Now, it's not slavery in the sense that it's not chattel slavery, i.e. the slavery that was predominant in the US and, you know, the colonial era slavery, let's call this, because it wasn't strictly, like, it wasn't just US, it wasn't just UK. The French and Belgians and all the rest were happy to do so as well. And I believe Ireland was involved to some degree, which is shit, but, you know, there we go. Because Ireland was controlled by the UK, so the ports in Ireland, I believe, like Cork was used as in slavery in some way. I mean, you know, on the one hand, I want to say, well, that's only because the British were in control. You know, I want to, emotionally, I want to distance myself, but I don't know. And it doesn't really matter. I mean, do you hold Colony A responsible in that it was like a point in the transfer for the exploitation of Colony B. I don't know. On the one hand, I want to say anyone who made an intentional choice is responsible. But then the people in different colonies, how much of an intentional choice were they making? Is this loose? This is not loose. Oh, that's like, is that glued on? Oh no, it is loose. It's just too heavy. Okay, gotcha. That's an easy solution. So we want to do this real quick, and then we go underneath, and then we grab the bottom bit. Oh, I got it. There we go. Because I want to be careful. I don't want to bounce the reactor, right? Bouncing the reactor makes the reactor unhappy. We don't want an unhappy reactor. That makes everybody sad. I want to get rid of this whole part. That's kind of the shell that's around us as well, just to make things a little easier. I've lost my train of thought. Train of thought. Those H's are getting moved around. Right, yes, so what the companies here were doing is definitely, it is slavery, but again I want to emphasize it's not chattel slavery. Slavery of any sort, you know, indentured servitude. Uh-oh, something's still attached. Hang on. I'll get back to that thought in a second. I'm sure y'all are waiting with bated breath for the thing that Brian has to say. Oh, it's you, isn't it? Is it you? I'm not sure. No, it's nanocarbon. I don't know. Oh, I bet it's you. Nope, it ain't you. I guess I'm just gonna cut everything and see what happens. Okay, this is weird. I don't know what's going on. Those grapples should still be going. I don't know what's gluing this thing together. Well, it's the pipe. No, it's not the pipe, because that power unit is not touching. It's not connected to the hole. So that's 61, yeah, 61 tons. So it is connected to something. I don't know what it's connected to. So we're just not going to worry about it right now. And I think the chattel slavery of the colonial era is absolutely important, absolutely needs to be talked about, but I think because of, well, frankly, white Americans losing their shit and the refusal to talk about and the constant fighting with them just to get them to acknowledge the fucking problem. Other forms of slavery, i.e. indentured servitude, have been overshadowed, and because certain white Americans wanted to point to indentured servitude as, oh, that's also slavery, but it's not chattel slavery. It's made a lot of, black Americans, African Americans, and black folk in other countries rightfully gun shy when someone who looks like me starts talking about different grades of slavery. It isn't, because it's been used to dismiss and belittle the concerns of black Americans about chattel slavery, right? Going, oh no, it was all slavery. Yeah, no, all slavery is not created equal by any stretch. Tethers? I might as well put tethers since I'm here. Because it's usually the case, especially on YouTube or Twitch, when some white dude brings up indentured servitude is slavery, it's a way of saying, sure, the slavery that happened to black people, that wasn't so bad. No, it was. So, in case you haven't heard the term chattel slavery before. Oh shit. That wasn't supposed to happen. Why did that happen? I mean, I've loads of time, but even so, that wasn't supposed to happen. Anyway, we're good. Because I didn't disconnect the coolant. That should not have happened at all. Is the ECU broken? Oh, that ECU pipe is off. So there should be lights on the side of that. Like if it's active, aren't there? Am I losing my mind? All the lights are off. Oh, and that's because I disconnected it from the floor. That makes no sense at all. That shouldn't have happened. That's absolute nonsense. Anyway, chattel slavery. So chattel just refers to owning creatures as livestock. And under chattel slavery, so when you own something as livestock, that means that... Uh-oh, what just happened? Whoops. Oh, I hate it when it does that. That when you own something as livestock, you own whatever that animal produces. Because we're normally talking about cows and sheep and chicken, right? So because you're not going to process it, you're going to the bird. So because black Americans, or at the time Africans, were treated as non-human things, right? They're not human, therefore we treat them as chattel, as livestock, and therefore whatever they produce, fucking children, they are owned by whoever owns them. And that is not the same as the situation our character in this game finds themselves. This character's kids are not owned by the company. Right? we have this giant debt, we have this money that we pay, but there is a legal distinction, as paper fucking thin as it may be, between owing a company money and that company owning you. And certainly there's a distinction between, even if that company de facto owns you, it doesn't own your kids. So, you know, Americans, and especially the Irish Americans out there, oh, you fucking... What happened to your ancestors is not what happened to the ancestors of black folk, of African Americans. And pretending that it is. Okay, alright. If you believe that it is, you've been lied to and you're wrong. Right? And I have explained in my limited capacity what the difference between these two things is. Bear in mind, as someone who grew up in Ireland, this is not stuff I learned in school, because it was not... Oh no, did I? I did. Well, it's fine, it'll work out. I'm oh-knowing because I attached those two things together, and I didn't want to attach those two things together. Let's attach that up there. I didn't learn about any of that in school. Aside from which, like, the Irish history class in... No, wait, it did cover that time period. I was going to say, like, Irish history for the Leaving Cert, that is up to grade 9, goes up to 1850? 1800s? That's well past, you know, the period of colonialism. That covers all this period of slavery. Why the hell was that not covered? I mean, because no, there's no... Because my brain's going, oh, that's because... And then I'm realizing, no, that's not a good reason. So, like... History up until grade 9 covered, like I said, up until about the year 1800 or 1850, I think it was. And I was going to say, oh yeah, but it's very Europe-centric. Europe did the slavery. We're getting power generators now, good stuff. And... I mean, our textbooks... So back when I was in school, Do I have stuff in here? No, I don't. Pre-97. I graduated high school in 97, because I'm an old man. Oh no, what's Hal doing? Oh, he's bumping everyone up like a rank. This is no bumping everyone up a hazard level. This, I think, has no actual gameplay effect. So why would a company do this? Derailing, he says. I'll get back to the history thing later, probably. Training. Oh, I think that's what the electrical thing is about. So why would a company do this? Why would a company bump people up a hazard level in an industry that's clearly dangerous, clearly lethal? Well, part of it is you've got essentially infinite lives, right? You're just getting regenerated. So, I would presume, with a high degree of confidence, that the cost of spinning up a clone relative to the salvaging of a spaceship is very little. I'm guessing it doesn't cost very much. So, if they push you to do something dangerous and you die, but you get the thing salvaged, that's a win. I mean, it cuts into their profit, so it's still silly. Like, on the face of it, it's a bad decision that a sensible business person should not do. But for a business person who's interested in profit this quarter, as opposed to profit in general in the long term, that's the better choice because it pads this quarter's profits. And that's a big problem with the American corporate model that has taken over the world. Like, capitalism, sure, is bad, but the American corporate vision of capitalism has really turned everything into high gear. And I think that's something that American criticisms of capitalism fail to, I don't know, acknowledge. Acknowledge implies they know about it. That they fail to see. That they fail to understand. Oh, there we go. We've got. That's what was gluing the whole thing together. So I'm just gonna slice this like there. Right. So yeah, history in Ireland. We did not. That I can recall, we did not touch on the North Atlantic slave trade, and we absolutely should have. And at that time, pre-1997, so this is before the ceasefire. This is before the Good Friday Agreement. It was not before the ceasefire. No, it was post ceasefire. There was a ceasefire at this time. But it was before. Oh Jesus! All right, no, you're good. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine. It was before the Good Friday Agreement, where a lot of other stuff happened. He says just to cut that bit short. I'm not sure that my textbook had an anti-British slant. Or some might say an accurate slant. Why are you not moving? Alright, because you are wrapped around that. There we go. I do know I get pretty emotional when I start talking about certain things in Irish history, and I can only think of that's because of how I was taught, which I'm not being critical of that, but it certainly has the feel of a kind of propaganda. You know, I've talked to friends, you know, in real life about this. You're going into the furnace, and you're all going to the furnace. So really, I'm not too sure what I want to cut here. Like, if I want to cut this out. Yeah, so I'm not too sure. So it's weird that, let's assume for a moment, just for a moment, that there was an actual, more than accuracy, there was an anti-British slant to the history I was taught. One would presume, I would presume, that, let's talk about the slave trade, because they were definitely involved in it. So therefore, you know, fuck those guys, right? That makes sense. Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to pull this apart. So it's odd to me that did not learn or do not recall learning, which are not the same thing, about oh bugger, I forgot that. Airlock is still connected. God damn it. I do not recall learning about the North Atlantic slave trade. And that's fuel. Are you loose now? Oh, you are, right. Which I should have. Even without it being like... Even without the need for it to be anti-British propaganda, which, you know, it's not. It's just an accurate assessment of what the Brits and the French and the Belgians and everyone else did. You know, it was a critical period in the world that has fundamentally altered the population distribution of this planet and fundamentally altered the wealth distribution of this planet. You know, the changes to the world, economically, demographically, of the North Atlantic slave trade cannot be overstated. Just can't. Like, when you remove hundreds of thousands of people from one part of the planet to another part of the planet, such that if the source of all wealth is labor, and in my opinion, I think that's the best generalization you're going to get. Right, you may want to, you know, let's just leave it at that for now. If that's the case, then what you've done is you've functionally transferred a huge amount of wealth generation from one part of the planet to another part of the planet. You say, well, why is Africa so poor? Because you fucking depopulated it, that's why. And yes, there are lots of people there, but now you've introduced instability to that part of the world. Why? People don't know who's going to be here next month and who's not going to be here next month. How do you plan in the face of that? Like, Hollywood loves its alien kidnapping movies and isn't as terrifying. It's like, okay, sure. Now, think of Africa. And what the Europeans, all of us, did to Africa. And yes, fellow Irish people, I'm saying us because, you know, sure, we didn't govern ourselves, but that doesn't mean we weren't involved on some level. Gotta get some oxygen. The breathing's getting heavy. Let's all just relax. Deep breaths. We're fine. We're absolutely fine. The degree to which we have responsibility is a different question, right? So saying that we are responsible is not saying that we are solely or wholly responsible. And if you get confused about that, well, you know, do better. Okay, so I think I think that's still connected. I think that's the connection, is those two. Here's the test. Bada bing. See ya, wouldn't want to be ya. I mentioned I'm an old man, right? Yeah, okay. Now, are you guys loose? That's 46 ton. You are not. You are connected. Yeah, you're all connected. Pretty connected on the far end. Yeah, you are. I see. Now you can. You see this little crossbar right here. You could melt that, but these things aren't connected to that. So you know, it's up to you what to do. I think you might as well just cut the just cut the edges off, but you don't have to do it from both sides. You can just do it from one side, like here. So I do it from this side. It cuts the whole thing loose, and I've just. That's not bad. Like, it still counts as a panel. I think I just took the face off it. Oh, I see a problem. Because it's not. We want this nanocarbon in the processor, and it's getting dragged along. We need to unsheath it, shall we say? Alright, I should stop messing around with the low value stuff. Though I don't know I'm going to have any time on this ship for the high value stuff. Oh, uh-oh. Are you guys still working or are we broken? Oh, you still have power. Okay, because we haven't introduced the electrical system yet. The electrical grid. If I had disabled the electrical grid, that door would not work. Thank you. Is there atmospheric control? Am I losing my mind? I don't see. So that's door wall 1, wall 2, wall 3, wall 4, wall 5, and the floor. There's no atmospheric control in here. Well, that's inconvenient. That means this can only be decompressed by forced decompression. You're already decompressed, so we might as well. All right, let's. That was very loud. I was not quite prepared for the loudness of that myself. I'm just going to grab these. I'm not really going to have time to do anything else. Yeah, there's one in here. Doesn't matter. See if I'll explain that in a minute. The other thing, I think the thing that really disadvantages global thinking about this, by the lack of the North Atlantic slave trade being taught in Ireland, is that Irish people, like myself, don't start thinking about it until they hear about it, you know, usually when they're an adult, much later in life. Like, I didn't really start thinking about it and the consequences of it till I was in my 30s. I moved here when I was in my 20s, and I spent a lot of that time getting annoyed at being called white. Because in my head, the things that white people did, slavery and whatnot, were things that the British did. So to call me white was to call me British. I still, to some degree, hold that view. Because the Irish were not in power, did not hold any kind of political power during these times. It's like saying because the Roma were in the countries that benefited from slavery, the Roma are responsible for slavery. Right? That's... If someone were to say that in all seriousness, it'd be objectionable. Like, it's ridiculous on its face. And I agree. So let's talk about stolen goods. Let's say someone you know steals a bunch of stuff. And then they give you some of that stuff. You don't necessarily know what's stolen, right? You just know, I got stuff, and, you know, you were having a pretty shit life up until this point. Like, your life was bad. Your life was oppressed by any metric. You know, you were Irish. Under the thumb of British rule in the 1700s, where you had all sorts of ridiculous taxes, like being taxed on, I missed, for having like windows, which I'm serious, go look up the window tax. That's a miss as well, come on, I'm wasting so much time on this piece of crap that's worth nothing. Okay, 47 grand. Maybe not worth nothing. Now, that person who's received stolen goods in good faith, right? Who thought they were not stolen, but they were. They really were. You know, sells those goods, or if they received cash from the sale of stolen goods, they use that cash to improve their life, improve the life of their family, and pass on that money down through their descendants. Right? They are not culpable. I'm going to use the words culpable and responsible to mean two different things here. They are not culpable, i.e. they're not morally responsible for the theft of the original items. Right? Right. I don't think there's any confusion there at all. They did not steal the stuff. Well, we would say they benefited from the theft of those things, even if they didn't know, right? And we generally agree in most countries that being in receipt of stolen goods is a crime. And not knowing they were stolen diminishes the crime, right? But it doesn't mean it's not a crime. It's less of a crime, but it's still a crime. Now, Irish people leave Ireland. It's a thing we do. I am, shall we say, exhibit A in this regard. I have two brothers, both of them left Ireland. my mom, originally Canadian, in fairness, also left Ireland to live in Canada. Although she's still in back, we're not going to look at that. Many of my friends growing up all left Ireland. And they went to another country, in many cases England, to make money. And they sent money back. Now, the Irish people who moved to America during the colonial period, who made money working there, some of that money will have been derived from slave labour. Those, and let's call them Irish Americans, may not have even owned slaves, but things like the cotton industry only succeeded to the extent that it did, to the degree that it did, because of slave labour, right? The southern states had this massive, well, body of revenue generation, right, labour, in the form of black bodies that produced a whole bunch of cotton. And even if you weren't involved in the owning claims in the cotton picking, people who operated looms and who wove the cotton, who turned it into actual fabric, and who tailored and all the rest, they all benefited from the mass production of cheap, monetarily cheap cotton, right? It didn't cost a lot in terms of money because it was being produced by slaves, by black bodies. So, you know, were any Irish people involved in tailoring, do you think, during colonial era USA? Were they involved in working the looms? Were they involved in converting it into cloth, into fabric? Were they involved in sail making? Were they involved at all at any level that touched on cotton? And we're going to pretend just for a second that cotton was the only industry that slaves were involved in. So, if that's the case, then any money that was sent back to Ireland by those Irish Americans working in that industry is stolen goods. It is a product of stolen goods. The labor was stolen. Therefore, any value not paid for was stolen. So Ireland itself, yes, absolutely, being oppressed by the British, in possession of the British, where the Irish people had no power or control whatsoever. And the Irish families at the absolute bottom of the hierarchy within Ireland, receiving desperately needed money from the family members who'd gone abroad to the United States and survived what were called coffin ships because millions of Irish died on them. They weren't the African slave ships, but literally, like at least as I was taught, 1 million Irish people during 1854 and 1856 died crossing the Atlantic to get to the United States. 1 million more or so made it, but about 1 million of them died. I may be muddling those numbers a bit, right? Because I'm talking about stuff I learned like 25 years ago or so. Oh, I didn't need to cut that. So anyone want to correct my numbers on that? Like actually correct, not just dispute, but to point me in actual corrections. I would love to hear it. Because I want to be right on this. Not just angry. Angry is good, but angry and right is better. So, those Irish people were absolutely at the very bottom of the hierarchy, and they were receiving money in good faith from people who thought they were helping their family in good faith, who were all in desperate circumstances because of the colonialism of the British. 100%, no dispute. They still received and benefited from stolen goods. not morally responsible. They're not culpable for the creation of the circumstances that caused those goods to be stolen, right? But the hands are not clean. They've received stolen goods. So any talk of reparations, I would argue, has to include people like me. The survivors. Those of us who are descendants of those who lived in Ireland, who survived. Now, on the one hand, I think that is way too complicated and never going to happen, right? Like, trying to figure out all of that. Like, it's hard enough to figure out the direct value of the descendants of the actual slave owners and like the value of the actual slaves directly. That's an extraordinarily difficult number to calculate. That has been done, but it took a lot of work by a lot of people who are very well educated in economics and the rest, figuring out the second and third hand and the fourth hand distribution going on, whatever, 5-10 generations later is, I'm gonna say, impossible, right? Hear me out, don't run away, black people, please. I'm not saying nothing should be done. I'm just saying getting an exact, clear number is impossible. But what I think that does mean, at an absolute minimum, is that Irish people, not just Irish Americans, but actual Irish people, in addition to saying kinship in this struggle, which we absolutely should do, but we should also understand that we have been beneficiaries to slavery. Like, we are not merely neutral, independent third parties in this situation. We have, as much as we may not like to hear it, we have dirty hands. And we should act accordingly. Now, lest anyone rabble on about some sort of Catholic guilt, I want you to understand, I've only heard the notion of Catholic guilt from American TV, which is predominantly Protestant run. Fucking wasps. Catholic guilt is not a real thing. That is... Uh-oh. Oh, it's gone. It was like $100, who cares? That is a product of Protestant imaginations. Like, why would you confess every week? You must be feeling guilty all the time. No, you don't feel guilty all the time. Half the time, for a start, you're made to go to confession. Right? Your parents tell you to go, and then when you get in there, you make some shit up. And if you have done something, maybe you are feeling guilty about it. I don't know. But you get absolution from the priest, and once you get absolution, you, by definition, don't feel guilty anymore because you have been absolved. You don't have anything to feel guilty about it. Because it's, bear in mind, I don't know why I'm explaining this. But I guess it's just because it flows from what I was talking about a minute ago. Because as per Catholic doctrine, it's not the priest who absolved you, it's the priest by way of being the instrument of God who has absolved you. And I really feel I have to note right now, I'm an atheist. I am not a Catholic anymore, right? I just know what the doctrine is from growing up in it, right? I am not saying this because I believe it. I'm just simply describing the doctrine, right? So let's all chill the fuck out about me being a Catholic, because I will be annoyed if that's what people take away from this little tribe of mine. So, long story short, the Irish, even though we were not a colonial power, as individuals, as a society, we absolutely should feel some level of responsibility for the slavery of Black Americans. Insofar as our ancestors received stolen goods, and that, I mean, let's face it, it didn't make things good in Ireland. But it may have allowed our families to survive and our ancestors to survive long enough such that we exist now. Like, there's a connection there, right? There's a causal chain of events that I think cannot be reasonably denied. What do we do with that? I don't fucking know. I got nothing. I have no idea what you can do with that. What can reasonably be done with that? What that means in terms of reparations. Like I said, at an absolute minimum, it means that if you, an Irish person, think that it has nothing to do with you at all, you should think again. If you think you've no business talking about reparations, you should think about that again too. Very much in favor of there should be reparations, absolutely. I mean, there's a certain degree there of, yeah, I think the Americans should put their hands into their pockets and take money out to pay the Black Americans. Yeah, no, that's not great. Should Ireland, the nation, given that it is now and has been for 104 years, coming up on 104 years? You know, we're 103 in 11 months, right? We're just shy of 11 months. Should Ireland as a nation contribute to reparations? Yes. I kind of want to say yes. I would love for Apple to stop stealing our money. I think it's going to be very difficult in practical terms for Ireland to pay reparations to anyone, given the level of corruption in the Irish political system. I think that's a central issue that maybe needs to be resolved first. Not merely because I want it to be resolved first, but without that being resolved, it's next to impossible to resolve anything else. Like, it's just de facto a higher priority. And I don't mean we have to clear out all corruption, because I mean, let's not set impossible tasks, right? But I mean, having Apple actually pay taxes would be something of a start. I wish I knew how much the Irish ministers were getting back in corruption and kickbacks. I think they're, you know... Anyway, I think this game is great. And I think video games, I think this conversation shows that video games can be should be and are springboards for conversations about difficult, complicated topics. And anyone saying that like video games aren't political is spewing bullshit of the highest order. Some games make the politics more explicit, more obvious. Oh fuck. Sure. And some games, you know, I'm thinking like Through the Wall. Oh man, I can't even remember what the mainstream name was. Through the Wall was a game you programmed on the Spectrum in the early 80s. The thing with the paddle and the ball, breakout? I think it was Breakout. I mean, okay, sure, between that and Pong, there may not be any politics. I mean, or there may not be any politics in the game that I can think of, which is not the same as there being no politics. It just means I can't think of those politics. I'm having a kind of a flashback to, I'm sure I read an article at some point in the past that talked about the politics of Breakout. Might be wrong though. Best case scenario, if someone says there's no politics in video games in general, or politics should not be in video games, they are, at best, an ignorant chump. They are a person who gets grifted on. They are someone who has money, or at least time, taken away from them by grifters. At worst, they are an actual grifter directly. Like they're saying that to try and grift in some way. Either to farm outrage, or nope. There we go. Or to generate money or something. I mean, that's the same as grifting, I guess. Generate views, clicks and views, which kind of generates money in a very, very indirect fashion. Yeah, that's far enough. Yeah, it's gonna go in. Okay, so that is unfortunately all the big ticket items. I mean, there's a computer in here that's worth some money. Yeah, you are not worth having to get out of here. Well, I guess you guys are worth like 16,000. Yeah, this is a 200k. I see the purple hand to the left of the name, where it says computer terminal, and there's a purple hand. That means you can grab something from it, a circuit. I think I probably actually needed that. But it destroys the component. So your basically wiping out 200,000 in value. From that. That's, you know, if you don't mind doing that's a weird wobble. And if you don't mind doing that, you know, off you go do it. Especially if it's your first time through, you're gonna want to do that to get the rest of the story. Because you can't finish the game, at least the story aspect of it, without completing the little ship that's outside your hab. And I'm pretty sure you're gonna have to break a bunch of those in order to complete the game. Sorry, I'm just trying to... I'm out of tethers. Okay, fine. I'm just trying to tether that last thing so it was moving when I was getting there. Are we chilled? We're chilled. Let's do one more just to speed it up. Alright, is this guy... Yeah, this guy's still attached. So, I think we technically don't need to worry about this. Because the other two things are going to hit the next tier, the next goal. It's going to get us the NT. But, you know, let's finish the job. Oh yeah, no, it's still on the way. Oh, whoops. We're gonna do that real quick. Off you go, buddy. Rolling, rolling, rolling. We've plenty of time. Should make it. Unless, of course, the tethers break, like they're doing. Oh, oh, you made it. Yeah. So at this point in, you know, I'm just depleting debt. I'm not actually getting any skill points. I don't think I'm getting any additional XP, because I think you only get XP for the checkpoints. So, like, at this point, even without doing those, you know, if you're bored and don't want to wrap up, don't want to tidy up, shall we say, then, yeah, just leave. What am I looking at down here? It's not a thing? Or is that a spaceship? I think that's a spaceship. Is that the barge? Yeah, okay, I'm looking at the barge. That's weird. What's that? One button again. Oh, something was tethered there. Whatever it was is going to go burn now. Oh, there's a thing up there. Totally forgot about that. My name is Brian, and I tip through the pile to find what's worthwhile, so you don't have to. Yeah, no, I'm not Splattercat Gaming. Splattercat Gaming, you should go watch. Splattercat does a lot of indie stuff, and it's pretty entertaining to watch as well, which is arguably more important. But that's going to be it for today's session. Pretty sure that only took like, yeah, just shy of an hour and a half. Well, no less, because there's a section I need to cut at the start. So it was a little bit more than an hour, which is good. You know, like and subscribe, all that YouTube stuff, or YouTube jazz, as another favorite of mine, what did I just zoom past, likes to say. Mortismal Gaming. Yeah, if you've any constructive criticism, you know, leave it in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. I'm just going to do some skill point stuff here. Welcome to stick around for that. Should not take long. That brings up to 195 links tokens. Oh, and you get repair kits by completing these as well, so that's kind of helpful. They're not expensive, but it's nice getting, just accumulating a pile of repair kits to be used at, you know, a future date. So with that in mind, it's worthwhile holding on until you clear like the final goal of a ship, even if you don't care about, you know, even if you don't care about maximizing everything. Speaking of repair kits, I'll find my 86. What I really want is more oxygen and faster regen of the oxygen. I don't really care about any of those things. I definitely don't care about downward charges. What does even need downward charges? More? Eh. So notice here, explosion size is minus 50%. It gets smaller. Right, you can keep seeing here how much smaller it gets. And that's more of a safety thing, like more precision. Here you can disarm them, probably. It's not guaranteed. Something else I don't really care about. Utility grapple is almost always the best upgrade. Not always, but almost always. That's always going to be my first choice. Anywho, that's it for today. I'll see you next time. Toodles.